Welcome to Web3 on Fire, where we take you on an inspiring journey through the ever-evolving world of Web3. In each episode, our host Rob delves into the heart of the latest innovations in decentralized technology, including account abstraction, smart accounts, aka smart contract wallets, and the future of work in the Web3 ecosystem. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Web3 on Fire. Today, we have Prashant from Spheron, which is a GPU lending platform that allows compute as well as people to run actual platforms and deploy builds with an SDK and an API to interact. Super cool. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Rob. And looking forward to speaking a lot about the things which you touched upon.
Awesome. Before we get into the product and the platform itself, I'd love to learn a bit about you in terms of what interested you about technology, how you got interested in crypto, and maybe if there was a project that pilled you and got you super excited in crypto.
Yeah, I think it's gonna... So I'll start my little bit about background for myself, like how my journey started altogether before even crypto, because crypto came later in my life. So I started my journey in a call center, and that is how my journey started. Like before I even did, I did my engineering actually, but unfortunately could not able to find the right job for me. So got into a call center, spent 3 months, learned Android development from the scratch, and then went to Bangalore in India, which is one of the famous places in India to be looking out for development related jobs. And then landed up there in one of the service companies, went to Chennai, did 2 years of job there, learned a lot, came back to Bangalore again, worked in Siemens as a engineer, got exposed to a lot of deeper technologies there, mostly in the healthcare domain. That led me that I always see Siemens journey has been my turnaround journey when I realized my true potential in the coding space. When I started interacting with a lot of high-level CTOs and all of those folks, then I got to know, okay, so I have more potential than what I was expecting. And then that is how my potential kind of gone out. I started looking for more job. I got into startup. Then I thought like my potential can be more exploited into the startups. Got into startup. The first I got into Quero. In 2 years, it got acquired by CSG. Then switched to WhatFix, even when acquisition was happening, and that is when crypto journey started. My co-founder with whom I was working with, he was doing a Gitcoin. If like Gitcoin has been the famous one in the early days. And a lot of folks we see today are the Gitcoiners. So he was doing a Gitcoin bounties, and I saw one day him like he was doing the bounties. I said, okay, can I collaborate with you? And he said, yeah, you can. And we collaborated. I still remember my first hackathon was on Near protocol. And then I won that first hackathon, and it boosted my morale altogether into this space. And then I got into crypto, and that is how the crypto journey started. And the moment I got into that, the thing which I always remember is the logical point of the crypto, which nobody just talks about. When I got here, since I came from the enterprise background and the startup background from the Web2, for me, crypto was very illogical in most of the cases. And that is when I started building my logical sense around it by talking to a lot of folks into the space. And the illogical thing which I found here was like, everyone was just talking about the borderless money and everything, right? But foundationally, everyone was using the centralized infrastructure to pursue their websites or post or host all of those things. So that is which put us into interest. And that is how my kind of journey started into infra space. And that is how Spheron kind of got into the picture. And that is what led me to here. Now, after 4 years itself, I'm still building in the same space. The thing which excites me most, and it's always been the most, is the infra space. Because infra is the bottom layer of the crypto, and all the value derivation happens there, but rarely people talk about it. Because as I said earlier, there are 2 segments of crypto folks, one who talks logical, one who talks illogical. And over the time, once the market grows, illogical folks more tends to a logical side. And that is what we see now, which is happening. So Yeah, that is the area which I'm always interested in and going to be interested always in the future as
Nice. Yeah. We always have a friend that gets us pilled into it and they're like, yeah, what is that thing you're working on? They're like, literally magic internet money. There's bounties. There you can just go and participate in these spaces. So that's cool to hear that Gitcoin got you in because it's such an interesting platform in terms of supporting open source and having these bounties to be able to participate in projects super openly, super permissionless. You're totally right in terms about most companies that are running any of these Web3 entities are sufficiently decentralized when it comes to their infra. So it's, oh, yeah, there's some stuff posted on IPFS in terms of maybe their images live there, but no, they're running it on normal centralized deployment in terms of Vercel or what have you. Super interesting to get into so many different use cases and different audiences that this product is facing, that Spheron is facing. Let's definitely give us just an overview of the product itself, and then maybe we'll learn a little bit about how it came to be in terms of an idea and why you're so passionate about infrastructure.
Yeah, so I'll not talk about the Spheron as such wholly because I don't want to shill Spheron like open upfront, but I want to shill the problem statement, which everyone should talk about. And the problem statement was quite clear. Is if you look around yourself, right, even today as we speak, most of the validators, most of the servers, roll up as a service, or anyone who is running any of these components, they all are using centralized server. Mostly, and I'm not saying all because there are few people like who started recognizing and now they're moving their stacks. But most of the folks are running their servers on centralized ecosystem. Now the problem it poses in the longer term is on the one side, we are talking about something which is immutable and something which cannot be controlled by one entity. On the other side, the foundation on which all of these things are sitting is getting controlled by one entity. So if you look at with a very logical angle, it is very logical statement to make, right? And that is what motivates me to always stay in this space and keep building and keep pushing. Now, are they really bad actors just supporting centralized entities? They are not, because I have been to their shoes. I got into their space. I understood what the problem they are facing. And that is where our passionate kind of started into shaping up, is to solve that problem where the folks who are using these centralized entities today, what are the core components if we give them, they should start migrating out. And that is where we started building around Spheron at the first place. And the first component of that was ease of accessibility, right? And also the stability and other things which also comes along with that. But at least ease of accessibility is something which you can give people to test it out at least, right? So whenever you build something, you need to give anyone a small product which people would love to test out and they should love using it. Why I'm using love again and again is because I come from very deep solution architect background and I understand how developer thinks in their day-to-day life. Their life is always complicated. It's not easy life for developers. After ChatGPT, again, it became more complicated. Um, so they need life to be much more easier and smoother. They don't need a lot of burden on their side. So our job becomes to reduce that burden, not to complicate that burden. And that is where we started working and started understanding what end developer need so that they can start using all of this decentralized compute stack to run their nodes, to do all of those things. And that is how our problem statement grows. And we thought, okay, let's go ahead and build on to this direction. Now, the next big challenge which we faced while we were trying to solve this, we thought, okay, let's build an experience layer because there were a couple of protocols which already existed in the market. Now, the problem with all of those protocols, they are not designed for user in mind. They are designed for token in mind. There is a difference. When you put token in between, then you always work for token and keep on pumping it without understanding the end user need. And that is where we tried to work on some of the protocol. We also revived one entire protocol completely from the scratch, but it hit a bottleneck. And then that after hitting that bottleneck, we realized if the vision which we want to achieve, it cannot be achieved if the same protocol we keep on using. So that is when the idea of launching Spheron as a protocol kind of born. And we started writing white papers. And our white paper has been Like literally, like we built in this space 4 years and then we wrote a paper. So that basically means like it has everything, every experience of ours put into that paper so that any builders who ever want to build in the same direction, they can go ahead and build that. So that is what basically drives our passion at Spheron. And that is the problem statement which we are looking to solve. Our statement is very simple at Spheron. We want every protocol or every foundations to, if you go to any foundations docs today, they tell you, you know what, if you want to run a node, go and click on AWS, open a EC2 instance and run it. We want to change that. We want to change it to Spheron. We want to tell them is to go to Spheron protocol as a marketplace, which is open source, decentralized, permissionless, and all of those things. And then click on the same template and launch it. And that is where we want to sit together with them in the same domain, at least in Web3. And that is what our problem statement, that is where we are passionate about to solve. Now, as a single entity, we also don't want to control everything. That is the reason Spheron protocol is getting designed on the foundation so that we don't control as a founders. And our passion is also more toward decentralization. And we know from the experience which we come from the past 5 years, the one thing which we have learned over the time, building such kind of thing, it requires time, patience, and agility. We have given all to this. And that is what basically Spheron is all about. And just a problem statement which we are trying to solve with Spheron as a protocol.
Yeah, I love that as a just user-centric, thinking about developers as a developer yourself and having worked in the space. I can literally tell you, because I can testify how perfectly simple it is to set up, because I literally set up an account, set it up, have it just in front of me now, have the options to deploy. Super simple. I love the passion, the vision, but also the execution, because clearly right there, which is awesome, being able to start from the marketplace or import from Docker. So yeah, that's super cool. So that's awesome. So let's talk more broadly about the protocol and then the product itself. So just give us like a map of how things are interconnected and just the lay of the land.
Yeah, sure. So on this Spheron, there are two layers, which we call the first layer. The bottom layer is the protocol layer, is going to be completely permissionless and driven by the governance and all of those things which is required to ensure is like the marketplace functions as efficiently as possible. Now, the entire protocol is designed keeping two things in mind. Generally, it has multiple things in mind, but generally what I focus is two. The first is the user, who is going to be our end user. The second is the automation. Now, why am I emphasizing on these 2 points? Because all of the existing protocol have solved most of those other use cases, but they were not able to crack into this. Now, Spheron allows you to go and build. So the one which you are talking about, you have accessed, it's an application layer, which is built on that protocol layer. Now, that application layer, we call it as an experience layer. Now, that experience layer can be built by anyone. It can be Spheron as a foundation. It can be you as an individual, or let's say tomorrow you want to go ahead and launch your own Spheron as such. You can easily do that via that experience layer. You don't have to go and interact directly to the protocol. Our intent, the focus was the moment we stabilize our protocol layer, which is the bottom foundation layer with all of these feature sets and all of those things, then experience layer, which you have already built, can scale to massive numbers. So that basically means today the bottleneck which we see is any compute protocol which you pick it up, name me any application which is as simple as to use as Spheron. I can bet none on the bottom layer as a permissionless and everything. Even if they exist, I can bet none of them are also on chain, right? So there are a lot of things which there is a compromises which you have to make. But our compromise is around the experience layer, where we said experience layers can be centralized. Let's say anyone, it is not even centralized. We are going to open source it so that people can even run it on their own. Experience layer can be used and developed by anyone, but protocol should always remain permissionless. So that is how it is designed. So now I'll also send you one more. You should definitely look at supernoders.com. Supernoders got built on Spheron and using the same experience layer. The beauty of supernoders is like from day one, that particular application started generating revenue for us. Now, the vision for us is like the moment you stabilize your protocol layer, you can build application layer which can generate revenue for you. And that is what our vision has always been at Spheron. is to make it so simple on the protocol so that your application becomes like within 2 weeks, literally you can build any application on Sphere. So that is what our time frame has been, so that people can come and build as many applications as they wish to. Now that basically is all about the foundation. Um, Little bit on the design side, which I would like to emphasize on, is the core USP of Spheron is the matching engine. So generally in a marketplace, when you go in any marketplace, it doesn't matter if it's a marketplace of compute or it's a marketplace of buying groceries or anything like that, right? In any marketplace, when you get inside that market, you go with the money, right? And then you look out to a product where you can spend that money quite easy, right? And that money is getting spent on the product which is getting matched by the vendor who is getting into that marketplace. Understand this concept here. It's a very straightforward concept, okay? But people make it overcomplicated. It's a small supermarket. There are products which are listed there. Those products are getting into that supermarket because there is a entity which is controlling that entity, becomes the DAO. And those market providers are our providers who are the compute suppliers. And users are like you, like us, anyone else who wants to use that compute. They go to the marketplace. Then what they have to do is they can just go and choose any one of those from those services. So let's say I want 8 GB of RAM or something like that. You just go and say to a counter, give me this. And then what our matchmaking engine does, it finds out from the marketplace who is the right candidate for you to fulfill this order, and it does it. Now, this small concept basically can bring massive automation into this industry. The reason being because today all the marketplaces works on a concept where you have to select your provider. You have to choose which kind of a chips which you want and all of those things, which is problematic because it is not chips which you are going to eat. It's a compute, right? It has certain logical implementation which has to be done. So that matchmaking basically enables that on the foundation, and that becomes a core USP also at Spheron. The other thing is the token model as well, the design of the entire itself. Spheron token is not emphasized to be a payment token into the network. That is meant for securing the network as such. So that basically means you can bring any token. So for example, tomorrow, Rob goes in and Rob says, hey, you know what, guys, I'm going to launch my own application layer, which is going to have its own token. Now, if you go today in the network of the compute, you don't find anyone who has that. Now you come to Spheron, you can do that quite easily. You get supply out of the box because there are a lot of providers who are already there. Then you get experience layer out of the box. You don't have to build all of those experience layer. You get developer experience out of the box. You don't even have to onboard developers. You can tap into the same developers which we have created over the time. And your OpEx basically reduced to around 10x of what it was supposed to be. Your go-to market, which was supposed to be in 1 year, now it's reduced to 1 month. So all of those things get concentrated around that design. And that is what basically sets us apart into the market than anyone else. And there are a lot of folks, and we have also been inspired from very early protocols as well. Some of them includes like Filecoin and sorts of all of the protocols in the network. And that is who are our inspiration. But I'll pause here. I can go deeper and deeper into the entire talking about this Spheron. But this is the overall design of Spheron.
No, that was perfect. And I've just pulled up Supernoters as well. So is that a good example of someone building the experience layer and then they could choose to build a token on or launch a token that's separate from yours essentially. So yeah, again, this is really cool. You can just deploy and yeah, Nubit, Lite client, yeah, all sorts. And it says
And
available slots right there. Just hit deploy. It's IPFS, boom, deploy. Are there incentives for people to build on top of other than being able to launch their own token in terms of working with and launching something like Supernoters?
yeah, so the thing which we are helping with the developers is reducing their go-to-market cost, which is around 10x. So imagine when you were supposed to be spending $1 million to build the same thing, you're building in just $10,000, the same thing. So it's an incentive already. So what we believe at Spheron is the day you start it, I also come from the same bounty and all of those segment. But I also understand one more thing at Spheron is the moment you start giving a lot of incentives, then people will come build and they will fade away. We want very serious folks who want to come in and they know, right? It's a very straightforward business. So it's a business which everyone is creating on top of it. It's not some speculation and all of those things people are doing. It's a real business. So for real businesses, you just need $10,000 or some compute credits, which we are going to give out once protocol goes live. And with that compute credit, you should be able to build all of these things because most of the things at Spheron is going to be open source, including supernodes as well. So that basically means like you just fork supernodes, make the changes, make it much more beautiful, go into countries where it is not yet available and start selling into that without any hiccups. And we don't even create any mess because it's an open source, right? So that is what creates a lot of beauty around Spheron, and that is what is incentive which you want to bring it forward for developers who are going to be using Spheron.
Nice. Yeah, that makes total sense. Just building true value into the product itself and having it baked in as the value. And I was always curious about as well, what type of compute providers are you looking for or going after? Are these everyday Joe Schmoes with a GPU and their PC, or are these large entities that have a lot of GPUs, et cetera? What's the kind of audience for that side?
At Spheron, we have both the audiences, and the design basically supports both. But at this point of time, as we speak, we are behind more around the people who know server things because we need more heavy servers. But since the compute power is also required, it can be also powered by somebody else's machine as well. But there is a slight difference in our thought process. Our thought process is like everyone's compute machine, which is sitting at your house, cannot perform a job which is sitting in a server, in a data center, right? So there should be a very different factor which has to be created to differentiate in these two machines in the network. And that is how our design basically is designed at Spheron. We have something called tiering system. So anyone, and we are launching it, we are updating our white paper as well. In our tiering system, it's a very classic tiering system. So somebody who joins recently, let's say a new member who joins in the network, they join at the tier 7. Now, everyone who joins at the tier 7, they have to climb up the ladder to start earning more and more boosted rewards and boosted tasks and boosted all of those things. Now, the tier 1 and tier 2 folks, only people who can achieve to tier 3 and tier 2 or even tier 1 are the folks who have high bandwidth capacity, high server capacity. Even it is sitting at your house, doesn't matter because I have my house where it is an idle space. I can put a rack there, I can run it. So we don't want to differentiate that. But we want to differentiate on the basis of the work which you're performing in the network. And for that work, we have created something called proof of capacity and all of those things, which is been inspired from Fluence and other teams. And then, but we have make certain changes around it to ensure is like it works in our favor. So that is how it is designed. So people can basically prove and be the part of network. We don't differentiate that. But again, as I said, the beauty of economic distribution into the Web3 is everyone into network gets something. And that is what the penetration is all about. And that is where Spheron stands with. So we just don't want to promote data centers. We also want to promote people buying heavy configured systems at their house and they want to connect to our system, our network, they can easily do that. But again, to get incentivized to get a task in the network, you have to your capacity in the network to do that. If you can prove that, then you are also incentivized. We don't differentiate any X community member or Y community member. We treat everyone equally, but with the gamification, we differentiate everyone. So the gamified system of the Spheron basically take care of who is the good one and who is the not the good one, who is the lowest tier one, who is the highest tier one, who should be given what, who should not be given what. So all of those things has been taken.
Nice. Yeah. So let's talk also on the other side. So from a developer's perspective, getting into the various ways in which you can use it. It's obviously you can deploy basically anything, but there's also a ton of ways to plug in like the API in terms of actually baking this in or using the SDK. You want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into the features essentially that are available for developers.
Yeah. So as I said, like we are developers. So we started building first the CLI. We are launching our CLI for for new protocol, which we are kind of launching. We have API layer, which is already built, as I said, like experience layer. And this experience layer going to be get open source. So that basically means, let's say, even the super notice which you just opened, the new bit one, just for your example, Imagine Newbit or imagine Ether or imagine anyone who are listed there. Just plug the same small deploy button in their site. And instead of redirecting people to somewhere else, they can say deploy from there and they can open a MetaMask, execute a transaction, or even open a fiat, copper, or any account, and then you just pay there, and then boom, your node is up and running, right? So and this creates a very amazing distribution channel for Spheron. Now, with the same distribution channel, with the same API design, we can also get the same thing plugged into, for example, in VS Code. So VS Code, you can literally plug the same API service in VS Code and you can spin up your servers at the runtime. For example, there was a nice use case which we were doing at Spheron, and the requirement for that use case was like we wanted to spin up 10 different servers at 10 different locations. Now, it was very interesting. Like it always happens with most of the folks who are building into this space. You know what? Even we grown so much, we still have to go to AWS, GCP, and all of these places, and then we have to like manually go and create a small cluster or do all of those things and then do that. And that is the point when we realize, you know what, we literally built something which is quite crazy in that case. Because you just make one call to the Spheron's API and say spin 10 servers in 10 different locations. It just does it, right? And you literally don't have to click, go here, manage all of those things manually in different. It blew our mind. And we obviously we did not knew about this feature. Like we got to know when we got into the problem statement and we wanted to kind of. The other thing, which also becomes much more crazy to use it. Imagine integrating this entire thing in a CI/CD pipeline in GitHub. You are leasing out the machine from somebody else, for example, AWS or paying Circle CI or somebody else for using their compute, for which you're paying per minute. You can lease out the same specific machine at 50% cheaper than anything else. And then you just plug that same into the GitHub Actions and it triggers the machine. It does the job. It does all the test cases run and everything and it gives you back. You are happy. You paid less and your life is sorted. You don't even have to mess up around going and setting up all of those heavy DevOps work. You as owner of a company, you reduce your DevOps work and you can ask this DevOps team to focus on something else and also reduce the cost of operation as well. And these are the core features of Spheron, which makes it very unique. The other uniqueness about, I can go deep into the uniqueness, but the one thing which always stand out for me is the way the entire marketplace functions. So imagine, and it's more Web3 centric way. Imagine you have an account abstraction thing or smart account and all of those things. I am sitting in, let's say, L3 of some other chain or L2 of some other chain. Now I want to lease out a compute. You can literally use Spheron's L2, trigger one off-chain message or even on-chain message, whatever way the design basically supports. And then boom, you have your ready-made compute system ready attached to your same transaction which you executed in, let's say in L3 or L2 of the others, and you got it, right? The same example goes with the GPU AI agents. For example, in the GPU marketplace, if you look into the problem with the GPU marketplace today, I think I lost. Okay. So,
Oh, there we go. Yep, we're
yeah.
back.
Yeah. So I was talking about the GPU marketplace as well. So GPU is one of the coolest, trendy thing into the market. And what we crack into GPU is, imagine like you are building a data layer and then from that data layer or model layer, and then in the model layer, there's a button called deployer model. In the deploy model, you just make one transaction from the same place and your GPU is up and running. And then your model is also deployed and you get your URL back. These use cases are quite crazy to think about. And today I can bet none of the existing protocol even function in this way. And that is how Spheron is getting designed to function in this way. And everything is around developer centric. So all these use cases are built using CDK, like SDK, CLIs, APIs, and all of those things which we have built over the time.
Yeah, that's really cool. Obviously, if you're going to build an infrastructure layer, and then you need to have all the modern bells and whistles in terms of having the ability to deploy these things with continuous deployment and all the new tools. So that integration is super important. And I love just that idea of the deploy and being able to have the model up and running, like you said, in one batch transaction, using the beauty of 4337 in account abstraction in that world as well. So speaking our language at Ambire wallet for sure. So that's cool. So you were mentioning some of the things are being launched right now. Do you want to just give us the rundown of the small, short window of roadmap that's happening right now in terms of what's out right now and what's being launched?
So experience layer, which we have launched, which you are seeing now, it's already live. Whenever you use it, that basically going to work out. But we have not yet onboarded many providers there. So that is something which we are currently working on. As I said in earlier, is we started working on our own protocol. The good part is like our devs are so crazy, man. I love them in all the aspects. It's like they launched the DevNet first in a month, like literally in a month. They launched the DevNet first. It worked flawlessly. I posted out on a Twitter I posted out that small video of leasing out a compute quite easily with my MetaMask wallet. That was a DevNet 1. We are currently working in DevNet 2. Mostly by next month, early first week, testnet is going to get launched. The moment testnet goes live, then the thing which is going to come into the picture is anyone can become the part of a network by providing their compute with the gamified system which we are building. And after testnet, there's a mainnet which is going to go live. The moment we go to the mainnet, everything which today in the experience layer will directly plugged into the mainnet. So that basically means we don't have to build anything now. So it's just a protocol, and then protocol already had the experience layer. The experience layer gets plugged in, and we are GTM. Like we can go to the market quite easily and start like bringing a lot of demands on our protocol. So that is something which that is what our short-term roadmap look like. After that, we have close to 5 years roadmap. I can also go through that. But on the bottom line, what our vision is to at least capture the market which Web2 companies are capturing, including Weave, Lambda, Weave, and there are tons of other companies who are in GPU space in the market. We want to build the experience what they are providing, but not only what they are providing, much more better and much more sexier in that case. Because what they have, we are much more ahead. The beauty of blockchain is the transaction. The moment you execute a transaction, you can, with that transaction as a verification layer, you can spin up hundreds and thousands of GPUs like that, if you have that capacity in the supply side. So our focus will become to make that supply more stronger, and also the experience layer as beautiful as possible for the developers to go and build multi-million, multi-billion-dollar companies on top of it. And my personal job is going to be go ahead and start supporting foundation as a service so that we can add more value to the foundation over the time. So that is what our plans are down the line for around 1.5 years, 2 years down the line, and capture the market. And I don't want to see people in Web3 using centralized servers anymore. That is my core philosophy.
I never will again. I'm sorry. I have committed the cardinal sin. Thou shalt not centralize thou servers. No, that's it. That's great. Cause honestly, the app right now and the experience layer is quite beautiful and easy to use. And like you're saying, just has already, because of the protocol, has like the ability to do things that you can't do on AWS already. So I'm sure besides just the launching 10 servers in 10 different locations, I'm sure there are many such cases in terms of other use cases as well that people can go and explore, because the documentation is extensive and it's right there ready to be used and played with, both on the creating a new instance as well as then on the API side and on the dev side of building with the tool itself. So that's super exciting. So congrats on all the progress and all the work that's been done so far. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. It has been 4 years work of ours, like which we have we just removed all the noise from the market. Whenever I look back, it's always, did we chose the right path? Now I can proudly say we chose the right path. We are giving Web3 something which people can use it. We just don't endorse on one thing is, oh, you have to only use us. What we endorse is you have to use Web3. If you are in Web3, you have to use Web3 products. And we want to increase the level of experience so that other folks who are joining the network again, who are the next set of folks, they know what is the level now. So the level playing field is now higher. So if they go to the market and try to raise some additional capital for something like Spheron, so they should not, because they need to have something which is much more better efficient than Spheron. So that is what we want to set into the market as a tone as well, so that more and more folks are interested to go and build and talk about more product and drive the token appreciation, token values around and tie it around that versus just a pure speculative meme token around the GPUs.
Yeah, that makes total sense. It's exciting because you want to bring all the good actors and builders to the space. And I love the vision of just one day the button will be there for every to replace, and that the bar will be set higher so that people really think in terms Web3 first, because I can tell you the number of deployments I have sitting on Netlify and Vercel that are for Web3 projects for certain. And it's, ease of convenience. It's the force of habit. Now I'm going to go use this tool and start deploying using Web3. So this is exciting.
Yeah, you should. And we'll be more than happy to take a feedback also. And we are always looking forward for feedback. If you have ever, please shoot us over. We'll be more than happy to incorporate those.
So, I lost you there for just a second. I think it's catching up.
Oh, yeah, it is trying to catch up.
Now I can turn it into. There we go.
Yeah.
Here, let me see if I can turn. Where's the?
I don't know why it
where's
is.
my sidebar? Here it is. Here, let me turn it'll turn the live video off. Just that, so that way we can at least have the audio synced. How's that?
Yeah, it sounds. It is better now.
Is that good? Okay, cool. Yes. Are you all headed to any events like ETHCC or have any exciting things coming up soon?
Unfortunately, we have Indian passport. Not unfortunately, we are fortunate to have an Indian passport. But unfortunately, the case is like the Indian passport requires visa. And the visa queue for Europe is like quite crazy now. So we will be missing out HCC. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to go ahead more Asia-specific events, which is going to be, let's say, Token 2049 in Singapore, EdCon in Tokyo, and tons of other events which we are looking at to explore. But we will be mostly getting and attending the event after we launch our testnet at least. And that is what everyone in the team is committed to. Before that, I'm not leaving my base. I'm going to ensure like that goes live first. And then we go and travel and make more and onboard more builders.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan in general. Just get building, get to the main net. It's a good plan overall for any builder out there listening. That's what everyone should be doing. So that's exciting. Then let's just make sure people know exactly where to find the project, and then you on socials and everything as well. So just go ahead and plug away.
Yeah, sure. So you can type Spheron on Google. We have spent a lot of hours in improving our SEO. So we are number one in those ranks. Or you can type Spheron network or anything like that. You will find us on the page one. Click on that. The moment you go to Spheron network, it has all the links required to navigate. Spheron network can be your one-stop shop for knowing where exactly you have to navigate. For example, we have most of the developer-related chats, anything which is happening around developers around. This is happening in two places. One is called Discord. The other one is we have Discourse as well, which we are deployed to use to manage or take certain feedbacks. And then if you are looking forward to use our existing products, again, the same page is Spheron network. Scroll down, there's an ecosystem page where you will find super noders and then Spheron app as well and the CLI. Click on any of those links and it will navigate you directly to that site and you can use it again. And you can also follow us on Twitter. Our social handle is Spheron FDN. It's Spheron Foundation, which is called short form is FDN. And do also give me a follow if you want to learn more about what we are building, because I keep on posting a lot of things which we don't post on from our original Twitter account. You can follow me at Prashant_XYZ. And you can also type my name. I think I should also come up as well. We have, if you are ever interested to learn more about anything else apart from Spheron, go to blog.spheron.network. It has a lot of content. Like we literally have produced more than 200 plus blogs so far, and it has everything, whatever you need to get started there.
Awesome. No, that was a great list of resources and where to find you. So thanks for sharing all that. And yeah, highly recommend going and deploying and playing around with the tool itself on the app layer and then super noders as well. Check out IPFS, lit node. They've got a ton of stuff just right there with the price per month listed, et cetera. So that's just such a cool experience just to be able to see and be able to use these tools immediately, as well as the API and the dev layer side too. Congrats. And this is all very exciting. So hope everyone out there goes and checks it out as well. So thank you so much for being on the pod today. Really appreciate your time and the effort put into this product as a whole too.
Thank you so much, Rob, for having us here. I'm looking forward to your users going out and looking out for Spheron. And it's really a true thing which we are building. But I always tell one thing to everyone: use Web3 products as much as you can. And if you face any issues in those products, reach out to their founders or their core team members, tell them the feedback, and ask them to improve it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And I love that openness on Web3 and the availability to really be able to reach out and get in touch with founders, and the openness as a whole that Web3 builders and founders are just a part of. I love that so much. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to Web3 on Fire, brought to you by Ambire Wallet, the only Web3 wallet you'll need. Find it at ambire.com. Follow Web3 on Fire on Twitter, Warpcast, and YouTube. Find more episodes wherever you get your podcasts and mint episodes on pods.media.